How do we start to see infinite possibility? Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here with our Setup for Success. Lessons learned in my life and in life in general that other people have taught me in terms of what works, what doesn't work, what we can beat our head against the wall about, or we can start to pay attention to and look for examples of in our own life so we can learn the lessons that create the success we want without having to struggle so much or beat our head against the wall to try to learn them ourselves. And today we're going to talk about infinite possibility. So often we see things in black and white, and I like to use these little ducks because I have a lot of little ducks. And when we're seeing things in black and white, we forget that. I'm going to try to show you this. There are all these other colors of duck and all these other shades of possibility in what we do, what we think, what we feel, what we say, how we look at the world. So how do we start seeing some of these many colored ducks and not just focus in on A or B, this or that, yes or no, black or white? We live in a dual universe, which tends to make us see opposites and think about opposite things. But just because they're opposites doesn't mean there's only two choices. Whenever we go to make a decision, whenever we want to achieve anything we want in our life, say success, guess what? Success is different for each and every one of us. Just like each and every one of us are unique and different, the way we achieve success or anything else is going to be a different journey for each and every one of us. Even if we shortcut the process and we model and we follow other people's processes and systems for achieving little things along the way to get us to the success we want, it's still going to be a unique and special journey for you. It's going to be different than my journey. It's going to be different than anyone else in your family's journey. It's going to be different, and our life experience is going to be unique to us. It's going to be our own personal journey, our own unique experience. So when we're faced with challenges, faced with choices, faced with decisions along the way of creating the life that we want, living the life that we want, living our life, how do we go about realizing that there are more choices than just this or that? We tend to know that in some areas and aspects of our life we have lots of choices, but we get into other situations where we think we have no other choices. I'll give a couple of examples. If you've ever been in a long-term relationship and you want that relationship to end because it's not going well, so often you'll stay much longer than you want to or than you should, then that's good for you, because it's the whole, I'm in this situation, I should make it work, I'm staying because of X, Y, Z. Maybe there's kids involved, maybe there's financial circumstances, maybe there's all kinds of relationships that are tied to this relationship that you don't want to sever right now. There's all kinds of reasons to stay, even though you're feeling like you should go, you should be ending this relationship. And so often we think that we either have to stay and cut off all ties to this person and this place and this relationship, or we have to stay. We have to stay or leave, and that's the only two possible options. Yet, in any situation, any relationship, anything, there's always tons of different possibilities, right? But we convince ourselves that it's just black or white, this or that. And if we do this, we have to deal with all of the negative consequences of making a change by leaving a situation or relationship. Now, is that true? No, it's absolutely positively not true. It isn't true that we only ever have two options or two choices. Think about any decision you have to make. Say and this is one of the ways I realize how many possibilities there are. And what I'm going to recommend to you is never make a decision or choice if you only believe that you have two options. Or never make a decision or a choice if you believe that you have to do something and it's the only option. It's the only thing you have to do. Always challenge yourself to come up with at least three options or three choices to any situation. And why do I say this? Because when you come up with three, when you allow yourself to think beyond those two, all of a sudden your brain and your imagination and your thinking kicks in and you start to come up with a lot more. So you'll never really stop at three, but I challenge you to always have three options before you make a choice or a decision so that you trigger your brain work and you start coming up with other things. Brainstorming is one of my absolute favorite things in the whole wide world. Why? Because it's such an easy tool and everybody can do it. Every single one of us. My daughter's brainstorming names. She's going to have a little girl in a few months, and so she's brainstorming names. Anybody can brainstorm names. And of course, sometimes you think, you never think that there's only two possible names for a baby, right? Or three possible names for a baby. But if you do believe that about a decision or a choice, what you want to do is always challenge yourself to come up with at least 3 alternatives. And are they possible or viable? Maybe not, but by allowing yourself to be open-minded enough to think about them, you're opening yourself up enough to get a better solution than the black or white, the A or B, the I got to do this, I've got to stay in this one situation no matter how bad it feels because I don't have another choice. We always have another choice, another option. And here's an exercise I like to do, and I challenge you to do today. If you're having a hard time realizing that there are infinite possibilities out there, there are infinite ways on how you can do something. There are infinite ways on how you can achieve anything you want, how you can overcome a challenge, how you can create something that you want, how you can take a different road or a different path, how you can change direction. Each and every one of us could change our lives right now. We could right now decide, this isn't working for me, this is what I'm going to do now, or this is the direction I'm going to do now. I'm going to go down a different road. Yet we almost never do because there's so much pressure to keep living on the road that we're on, the direction that we're on. So here's an exercise. Think about when you're hungry, right? Okay, say you feel hungry. All of a sudden you're starving, you're hungry. Think of how many different ways you can satisfy that hunger. Think of what you could possibly eat, all the different things you could possibly eat to satisfy your hunger. Think of all of the places you could possibly eat or go to get food to satisfy your hunger. Even during COVID, in my little town, there are still at least 50, if not 100 places that I could go to find food to satisfy my hunger. Now, I might not be able to go in and eat at the restaurant, but I could at least order takeout, right? Or I could get food. There are literally hundreds of thousands of items at most grocery stores that you could choose from to eat to satisfy your hunger, right? You could suck your thumb to satisfy your hunger. There are so many different possibilities. Now, probably if you're an adult, you're not going to suck your thumb, but would sucking your thumb or sucking on something satisfy your hunger while you got food somewhere else? Yeah. So that's just an example of all the different possibilities, all the different choices there are. And you might only be able to come up with like 100, but 100 is still more than 3, and it's still way more open and allowing way more possibilities in than thinking you have to only eat one thing or you have to only do one thing. Nobody would ever believe that if they're hungry, there's only one possible way or 2 possible ways or even 3 possible ways to satisfy their hunger. Yet, if we think about ways to make money, how often do we think that the only way to make money is to have a job, to have someone else pay us money for exchanging our time for money, having a job? That's my definition of a job. If you exchange your time for money, you have a job. And if there's all kinds of weird rules, and those rules are changing now, especially during COVID. But if you have a job, but are there not lots of other ways to make money? Of course there are. You could sell something that you already have. You could sell something that you could create. You could sell an idea. You could sell your time or your skills or your ability to solve a problem for somebody. There are infinite ways that you could make money if making money is one of the ways that you define success for yourself. Yet, so often, it's A or B. Either I stay in this job or I don't make any money. Or I have to find another job or I'm not going to make any money. So what's the difference between infinite possibilities? There isn't any. Every situation, every challenge, every obstacle, every opportunity we face, there's infinite possible ways of interacting with that, either taking advantage of it or not. Just deciding whether we're going to take advantage of it or not. There's often different aspects of that, and whether we have different ways of taking advantage of different opportunities and overcoming different challenges. There's always way more ways of dealing with situations. There's way more ways of determining how to do something, how to get a result that we want than we initially believe or think. Yet, other people will lead us to believe that we have to do it their way or it's the highway, which is absolutely false. So I say today, adopt brainstorming as one of your automatic ways of dealing with any type of a situation, positive or negative, good, bad, and making sure that you're allowing yourself the freedom and the creativity to realize that there are infinite possible ways of dealing with anything. Love to know your experience with infinite possibilities. Do you believe that we live in an abundant universe and there's all kinds of ways to do, be, and have whatever you want? Or do you believe that, we live in this finite universe where everything is black or white? Things are A or B. Either it's this or that. And a lot of people do. A lot of people think and believe that things have to be a certain way based on their reality. What they're forgetting is we all create our own reality. All right, have an awesome day. I will be with you tomorrow with another Setup for Success as we get ready for the next 30-day Get Up and Go challenge. I hope you'll join me right here October 1st through 31st, and there'll probably be one after that as well. I can pretty much guarantee there'll be one after that as well, at least until we get through all this crazy COVID-ness and we create the lives that we want. All right, have a great day. Catch you tomorrow. Bye.